Hello everyone and welcome to Rob Mac Plays. We are currently in a single player world here that I have going. This is normally a legit world and we're currently in creative only to demonstrate what's going on. As you see here, we have a lot of RailCraft things going on, and what you're going to see below us is some ComputerCraft programming and wiring and things. What you'll see in the comment section down here is going to be a link to an FTB forum. There's a poster on there, Casiero, who came up with a lot of the coding on here, and I'm just recording this for his benefit. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a little bit of how the coding worked in what we did here. We did not edit the coding whatsoever, so we definitely tried to build around what we had there. So why don't you give me a minute, we'll go down there and take a look. Welcome back. So here we are. We just were recording over there. What'll happen is trains come in this way along into the station. They're going to go over some detectors here, and then the train gets up and gets held up here. There's a computer underneath there. We've got some advanced item unloaders, which currently do not send a redstone signal. And they unload into these to the iron chests. And then we have diamond gates here, which then will pull the items out and send them down below. The computer here will recognize when everything is empty. The cart gets sent along, gets held up here while the system finishes processing everything, and then heads into the refueling depot. Everything that's handled over here is all part of Casiero's coding, so let's head downstairs and take a look at that coding. Right, so here we are underneath the main level of the factory area that I have going on here. This goes all the way down to near bedrock. We probably won't venture down there too much today, but let's take a look here. So the first thing that we ran across here was this routing detector, and that is used by these two computers here. One is the redstone controller, and the other one has been named the train identifier. What this does is, as the trains pass by, it basically relays, it takes a look at the ticket that's in each one of those and relays information. And this can actually be hooked up to 15 other routing detectors and can relay that information so that that information can be passed on. As you can see, the redstone controller has RedNet input from the top, output to the right, has a wireless modem on the back. The other computer here, the train identifier, then obviously the RedNet input from the left, the wireless modem on the back. The trains then come across these identifiers. This is a train size detector. So these train detectors, now they're set. You want to always set them so that your largest detector comes first, so that it's not changing the signal every time they come over. That was one of the things that I noticed had been an issue. So you always want to make sure that in this case the train size 3, this is 4, 5, 6, and 7 at the end. And what that leaves room for then is for the locomotive in the front of the train, for the for an anchor cart at the back of the train. So this one here will have 5 chest carts, whereas this one would only have 1. That information is sent to this computer here, which is the unloader manager, and that is also connected then to those item detectors that are detecting empty carts. It uses the information it gets from here to determine how many carts are in the system, so that it can then put them together and know when to send the cart away. So the unloader manager, this is the one that's doing a lot of the work that we have here. So let's go ahead and just take a brief look at the code here. I want to say, let's see, the directory, cargo unload, yep. So let's edit cargo unload. I didn't extensively look at the code here, but we can see that there's not, the code itself doesn't look horrible. There's a lot of local variables in the coding, which we may have been able to instead of making them local to each of the functions, we may have been able to use as global variables. And this was in all the programs. And again, that's a choice when you're doing these. Sometimes it's easier. But as you can see, this is the main function here. So while true do, it's just clearing the terminal, printing unloader manager. We saw that before. Waiting for that event. Okay, so then it gets the input from the bottom about the train length that we saw from those inputs. So that last one, if it hits that, the color cyan, it knows that the length was 7, so there's 5 chest carts that it needs to empty. And so it goes through this, sets each of those for those 2 variables. And then obviously if there is no length or the cart number, then it says letting it pass through, which I have tested, and that works great as well. So then it tells us the train has arrived. It tells us how many chest carts are detected, and then it runs this train loop. And what that's doing up here, you can see the train loop. Then the first thing it does is it gives it a few seconds. Then what it's just doing is making sure that, okay, if there's 0 carts, so that's what that L, the train loop, and then the number of carts. So if 0 pulses top, lets that train go right away. Otherwise, while it's looping, it's testing for those variables to make sure that all the carts get emptied. So you have all that coding there. When all the inputs are done, it tells you the unloader work is finished. And then we head back down here, and it'll tell us that goodbye train sleeps for a few seconds and then resets itself. So that's definitely a nice little program there, and that pretty much controls the train coming in and leaving the unloading area. Then what we have, which is the other fun part of about this is the cargo taker. Let's go ahead and take a look at this code real quick. And again, these are the exact codes that I got from Casiero. Definitely some well thought out things about how to make things work. A couple things that we could have put into the coding that we're using the RedNet controllers for, but it's definitely something we can work with. So the whole idea of this is that it's going to take everything that comes in from those chests. It's going to go into these diamond chests, and then it's going to read all that information, and then it's going to print out a report about that information, and then it's going to pulse the signal, send everything into this chest, which is going to represent what is going into our network. I currently have not set this up. You can see here I have an applied energistics network that I'm using to supply some things up there, and whether I actually code this into that or not, we will have to see how that works in the future. So the coding here is definitely well maintained, definitely, as well as overcoming a few things that you'll see in the forum post about making sure that if the item name is longer than what can be printed on a page, that it runs on appropriately and doesn't cause any errors. So this also controls, as you can see, this platform here. Now I put the RedNet controller in here because there's looks like we had a couple things that we coded. First off, we have a NOR2 input, and this is for these 2 gates. Basically, it's letting the system know that when these 2 chests are empty, that it is then finished and can continue on in the programming. So that will return a signal back to the computer, the blue signal, and that tells the computer that it's empty. This next one here, it was me adapting some of the code. What he has set up in his system is a coding system that this connects then onto another network and another computer that controls all of the trains that are in the base. So what I did to try and maintain that then is that we're getting this pink code that was part of the ComputerCraft code that sends a signal up here, and then that gets combined with some other things and inverted into this purple code that then lets the train finally leave the station. So all I did here was a pass-through of that signal. So definitely some great coding, and definitely something that's been working very well. So you saw I took the items from here. Let me go set up everything, and we'll show you how it works. And I'll be right back. Alright everyone, so here we are up top taking a look at what all happens when a train comes into a station. I have a locomotive set up here with the golden railway ticket, destination Ice Mountain Mines, and the ores. That is actually down that way. a couple of chest carts and a world anchor. This is simulating like the train's coming into the station. What we have down here then is a routing switch motor from RailCraft with a routing table in it. That routing table is actually set for a color red major and any minor color. And that's what we're going to use for all of our carts coming into the factory that have things to unload. So that way we'll be able to bring them in. If we decide to do liquids and things as well, then they will be in different areas here. We set up our factory to be exactly 3 chunks by 3 chunks. That way we could effectively use a chunk loader and maximize the space. As you can see here, just one short on the top area. We get farther down, it's actually we're maximizing the entire space as best we can here. We should move the walls out one so we didn't have any issues or problems. The thing is that I like to use the walls for a lot of the piping and conduit so that we can hide some of it. So like in the corner here going all the way down, there's actually an ME cable, things like that, so that we can effectively use all the space. Let's go ahead and get this train started, and then we can talk a little bit about what's going on top side here. We just need to get ourselves a redstone torch to activate the train holding track. That's got it in place here, so we could simulate everything and not have to actually catch it coming and going from the station. So as you can see then, the switches over, train heads to the station here. And again, depending on what we can do, we can route a lot of different things, or we'll end up with a whole stretch of routing detectors here when we have other stations set up, and that can all be changed in the coding. So we're going to come across here again. This is going to read the ticket and then the train size. And here we come into the station, and right away items already in, and we're going to start dumping items out. And see, as soon as they're empty, then the train takes off and it heads off. Normally this should stop the train, so let's see here. Here it's heading off to get refueled, and then it's going to head back up there. This one is kind of curious. We should have caught that, but that's I'm pretty sure that it's not part of his coding. That's probably the pass-through that I've got that holds the train. It's actually supposed to invert it, so we can easily fix that when we're down there. So let's go downstairs and take a look at what's going on, or what the result is of what happened down here. Maybe we can take a quick peek at it as well. But here we can see in our paper tray we got some printed pages. I'm sure some of these are from some other ones that we ran. Let's grab these two here. This is the inventory ID when it came through, and the train ID, raw or delivery. And then the second page here tells us exactly what it did, and it actually adds things up here. 64 dirt, again shards of minium, all those kind of fun things. It actually adds them together. In our next one, we'll actually put them together, put more than one stack together, so you can see how that's working. Let's see, double check these ones that we ran earlier here. Again, just had some coal coat come through, so we'll get rid of these pages here. There's all of our stuff waiting to go through. Now, that's the one thing that I have noticed, is that it's been pretty good about catching everything. Let's see what's going on here. This should, instead of passing through, should be an inverter. Let's leave it at that, because now that should be on until the system says off. So let's go ahead and load this back up. There we go. Let's give it Let's give it a couple stacks of coal coke. So my concern is whether it's able to take things out of the engine and stuff like that. So that we should be able to see a little bit better, because now we know that we only put 2 stacks of coal coke in. And we got some dirt. Let's get some more cobblestone so we can see how that all works. We got 3 extra stacks. Throw them in here. And then what we'll do is we will start this up. Let's go downstairs and talk about what's happening. So this one here, again, nothing's going on. It's going to wait for a redstone input. So again, we're kind of waiting for that. Again, this coding, very well done. I didn't have too many things, too many questions. A little bit just kind of setups, because I didn't see exactly some of the colors and things that were going on in back of some of the machines, and that's just from some of the photos. So here you can see we've obviously ran over this. Train ID is raw ore delivery, and there's some of our items flowing through right away. And things are flowing down as, again, we're using the translocators to try and make sure we're using both of these diamond chests. You can see things are just flying right through here. We could, if we wanted, put the glowstone on here, so that way it could do that. Okay. Stalling train and waiting for cargo to enter the examination bay. Let's see. Looks like that's done. Look at that. Putting all that together. Now it's dumping it, sends a signal over here. Again, we put redstone on this side. So that way, when it gets a signal, this happens to be the red signal, it sends everything through. And so we got our printout already as well. Let's take a look at that printout here. Move some of these things out of the way. There we are. The inventory ID, something that Casero set up just to be a random number, something to have fun with. Again, the day and the time, and then the ID. This is raw ore delivery. Something that we can change the code, and we might be able to be a little bit more specific about where it's coming from. But right now, that's the way we have the code set up. And again, here we are. It's automatically put all this together. 256 cobblestone, 178 coal coke. So definitely doing a great job. And again, stock taken, dumping the inventory, and then the system should reset here in a moment. So definitely looking good. Let's go upstairs, double check that train. And again, here we are. It's already sent it off, and it's refueling. Again, this is what I had set up for now. I'm actually going to be taking a look at some other code and some other ideas as far as a station goes. Right now, we're only set up for freight intake, but I want to set something up as a passenger line. And as you can see here, that's what all these lines are for down here. I'd actually like to set up so that I have more of a passenger station here. And then I also have everything, when I originally built this factory, it's actually set up heading downstairs, so they have lines coming up the powered rail here and heading down unpowered. That goes all the way down to the basement in that area. So now you've got a quick little idea of what we're looking at. Again, a nice, easy setup. Not too difficult. Biggest thing that I would say is, I was confused a little bit at first about which direction to put the routing detectors. Again, you want the longest one, this one's train size 7, to be the closest one, so it fires first in the line. Because as soon as it has that signal, it holds on to that, so it doesn't, because if you have that one, it's going to set all these off because it's at least that number. So that's kind of interesting how that worked. And then just making sure that you're looking at with the code he's got, you want to make sure that you have these two, the gates are set up properly. Those get ANDed by the controller, and that turns it blue. That was this page over here that we were looking at. This one here. So the light blue and the cyan are coding into that NOR gate and the blue. That way the system knows when these are empty. Other than that, everything else was pretty straightforward with what he had. The code was very descriptive about what the inputs and things were, what it was looking for. As far as it being more user-friendly or adaptable to other environments, you'd have to actually go in and change, because everything is hard-coded. But to his credit, he was straightforward about the fact that he had never thought of intending to put this into a public forum. So definitely a great job here, Casiero. Definitely impressed by your work. And for everyone else, definitely follow the links over to the Feed the Beast forum. Leave comments here and there, and all the paste bin stuff is there, so you're more than welcome. He says to use this code, have fun with it, and if you have some other great ideas, let us know. Also, if you're taking a look around and you see other people that are using ComputerCraft to control RailCraft, definitely would give me a heads up. I love taking a look at this stuff and using it in what we're doing here, and we could definitely see how it works. With that, again, this is Rob Mac Plays. We're Minecraft single-player world at this point in time, and take care.